How's it going? JD Samo coming at you from the basement. I'm busy. Things have been absolutely incredible for me these last couple of weeks. Sorry I've been a stranger. Got back last week from doing the Horseshoe Music Festival up in Wyoming with my good friend Dwayne Betts and Jimmy Vivino and Jackie Green and Daniel Donato and Nikki Bloom and Maggie Rose and the great George Porter, getting to play Meters. You know, we did a whole set of Meters songs. Me and Jimmy and George and Adam Abershoff. And I mean, you know, getting to play all that stuff with him was one of the greatest experiences of my life musically. I mean, it just, oh man, it was so fun. And he couldn't have been sweeter. We had a couple of really sweet moments together. After we played Hey Pocky Way, he gave Adam the fist bump, and it was a real touching moment to see, you know, because I know Zigaboo is Adam's just, you know, favorite. Like, you know, Tony Allen and Zigaboo and Al Jackson and Tony Williams, you know, are like his favorite. Those are his guys, you know. So anyway, so that was absolutely incredible. Came home, did some family stuff, done a couple sessions, and I'm in the middle of filming with some good friends. We'll talk more about it here in the future once we finish it, but actually shooting a slide lesson course thing. This new company that has worked a lot with the great Paul Franklin, the greatest steel player there is, asked me if I'd contribute, and I was like, well, I'll do my best, but in company like Paul, you know, buyer beware. No, But it's been a lot of fun. We shot for a long time last night, and we're gonna finish up tonight, I guess. And there's a bunch of touring coming up. We just added a show in Houston to the trio tour next month in October. We're going to be in Ruston, Louisiana next week, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of dates. We're playing Little Rock and Tulsa, which is like another spiritual home for me, and Fort Worth, Texas, Houston, Albuquerque, back to my old stomping grounds in Phoenix, and then Denver and Lincoln, Nebraska, I think is the one that wraps that up, and then there's another tour in November that we're about to announce. So come see us, grab some tickets. Wanted to talk about my dear friends over at XTS, Exact Tone Solutions. After coming back from the festival in Wyoming, it was very clear that I needed to get my shit together. So I called Barry O'Neill, Sweet Barry, and Greg over there, and they helped me get my stuff together. Basically just new patch cables and a new one spot from my friends at True Tone, and I got some new cables from Gil at Divine Noise. I just needed to, it'd been 3 or 4 years and things get beat up. And also Barry rehoused my my Nobles that I got from Book. But anyway, here, I'll give you it's amazing to me how great they are, how everything got so much quieter and sounds so much better. I don't know. I know I've gone through phases, and I'm sure we all do this, but it's like we all go through phases of sort of being really into the nitty gritty. I mean, I've been and it's well documented on the internet of being super into tubes and what position in the amp they're in, and voltages and all kinds of minutia. I sort of, these days, I was just talking about this, somebody asked me the other day about this, because I was so crazy at one point. And I said, I've sort of settled into a place where it's like, I know what I like. All of that minutia sort of helped me figure out what I like, which is a great thing, because some people don't know what they like, don't know what they want. I know what I want, and I have a pretty decent understanding of how to achieve it. And I also have a pretty good Rolodex in my head at the moment of like the potential things that can go wrong, or what a blown speaker sounds like, or what power tube starting to fail sounds like, or what a preamp tube going bad sounds like, or what a pot or a pickup, like I've got like a decent reference where I can sort of troubleshoot. But all that being said, here, let me show you what this looks like now. I'll do my best here. So that's kind of what I'm rocking. It's pretty nice and cleaned up, and everything is nice and quiet. There's my rehoused Nobles, and I'm really liking the Brig. There's a little secret thing that Barry's working on for that. One thing about the Sonic Research is it's the only tuner I've tried that doesn't mess up your sound when you're plugging through it. I don't know why tuners in particular do that, but I've noticed over the years, and it's kind of driven me crazy, that I guess the buffer's in them or something, but it just seems to, all other tuners seem to, like when you plug into them, it like goes like this on your sound, like the bottom and the top change a lot. But the Sonic Research, I can't hear anything, which is great. And then of course my Kogoi fuzz, which is my favorite, and my Jam Wah, and my beloved Freeze. So anyway, that's it's fairly humble. Well, it's not humble. There's a Nobles on it. Who am I trying to kid? I'm not trying to kid you. But you know, I just this is a lot for me. You know, like this is as much as I ever will need. And there's many times when I go play with friends, or when I go to sessions for that matter, where I might only bring one or two things. And guitar-wise, somebody was asking me like what I bring to a session, like when I'm working for Dave Cobb or something. Obviously, when I'm working here, which I work here probably about half the time these days, either tracking for different projects or like soundtrack stuff or whatever, or things I'm producing, which is becoming more and more. But I go, so I mean, obviously this is kind of like my main guitar, but I've got this old ES5 that I play a lot, and so I usually bring this and the Telecaster, and then I always bring this these days, which is the Wade Kofer. I have this tuned down to B like a baritone. I generally just bring those three, and that's also what I like bring on tour, because really those are the guitars I use the most. But I've got, you know, a couple others here. I've got this cool old custom craft that I've got tuned down a whole step that I use sometimes. The cool Glazer Strat that we talked about last time. And then of course Red, my old 335, she's still here. I just don't use it as much. It'll come back around, but ever since I got this Telecaster, it's what I want to play, you know. And then amp wise, I always bring my Alamo Model 3, which is I mean, you just can't get a bad sound out of it. It's kind of a, I don't know, man. I mean, I bring it with me everywhere because it's just such a great sound. And certain amplifiers, like you can kind of put a microphone anywhere and it sounds amazing. So I always bring this in one of my headstrongs, which are behind me. Usually my black headstrong, which is the first one I got from, it's a Little King reverb. I've got my 67 Deluxe reverb here underneath this that you can't see. And there's other stuff too, but that's kind of the main thing. I'm pretty meat and potatoes. You know, a handful of things that are all really set up well, that intonate well, that play in tune, and now are quiet thanks to Barry helping me out, and my buddy Zach from the ASZAC channel and from True Tone. Everything's pretty groovy. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going to finish up this course tonight. I've got a session tomorrow, and during the day, all day, and then gonna have some fun with some buddies this weekend. There's a little local bash that we're all gonna go play together and jam, and then I'm gonna play Monday over at the East Side Bowl. Kirk is doing well. Another update: Kirk is doing very well. He's actually in Los Angeles right now. He's about to be back in Nashville, and I'll be catching up with him. But he's doing very well, and I think everything is moving in the right direction there, which is a huge blessing. And then heading to Louisiana next week, and then other stuff. Was just on the phone working out some details for some pretty exciting stuff coming in the first bit of next year. Some pretty awesome collaborations. And then there's several other that are in the pike that I can't really talk about, but they're going to be great. So lots of good stuff coming. And I really appreciate everybody being so kind and sending such nice messages and subscribing. I hope it gives you a little bit of entertainment. And sorry that I look so tired today. It's just one of those things. A lot of late nights and early mornings with the young one. So anyway, much love and peace, and grab some tickets to the fall touring. And so in the reading and documentary and like what I'm into lately, quickly before I sign off here, I have been, for these last 2 weeks, I've been on a pretty deep World War II rabbit hole. In particular, like, I read a biography of General Omar Bradley, which led me to reading several books about General Patton, which led me to reading about, in particular, the final Russian advance, as they took, which eventually they took Berlin, and like Stalin's obsession with whether or not Hitler survived and all that kind of stuff. And I have been pretty fascinated with that because I love history. It's something that I get a little kernel of something, and then I have to know everything about it. So I've been, there's several books and several documentaries and podcasts, but that's kind of where my head's been, not to get too deep here. And musically, I've been really down. Steve Kimock was another one of the guests at the Horseshoe Music Festival, and we got to play some great music together. And it's an honor to know him, be friends with him, and he paid me probably the single most amazing compliment on my slide playing in particular that anyone has, and it really meant a lot coming from him. But we talked about Dave Lindley a lot, and there was, and I know this video is getting long, so I apologize, but Lindley was a good friend of Steve's, and Steve, especially his lap steel playing, it's just amazing how he can evoke that voice. We were on stage sound checking one of the nights of the festival, and he played something on his lap steel, and it just sounded so amazing, and I whipped my head around like, what was that? And he laughed and he pointed, and he had an old Boss CE2 chorus, but he had it like with the depth all the way down. And he laughed and he said, I learned this from Lindley. He's like, here, listen to it without it. And he turned it off, and like, it sounded great. But then he turned it on and it just went like, whoa! And it was just this big, beautiful. And I was like, all right, I'm going to have to get one of those. Maybe. But we had a wonderful time hanging. And so it's led me, listening to obviously El Rayo X, and also just the real deep YouTube hole of just great footage of him playing as Weisenborn, and the Rock Palast footage, which is pretty famous, is amazing. So anyway, I've been deep down that hole, which is not a uncommon one for me. So anyway, so that's that. Sorry for the long video. I hope you all are good. I'm gonna drink some more coffee because I need it, and finish this up tonight, and on to other things. So I hope to see you again soon. Again, hope to see you out on tour. Grab some ticks, tell your friends. It's going to be a great time. It's a really good lineup. And yeah, keep it greasy. All right, I'll see you next time, folks.